Yes. Do you want to go next? You read some Dostoevsky, I believe.
I did read some Dostoevsky, and you know what? Let's bring it up a little bit with the first Dostoevsky I read. I read basically a novella from him and a short story because they were just combined. Like, so I read White Nights, which is 85 pages, something like that. It really easy to get through, and then Bobok, which is like 15 pages. Um, so yeah, we'll talk about White Nights first because I have some really good things to say about it because I think that was probably one of the better things that I read this month.
Okay.
Basically, it's about this guy who doesn't really have any friends. He just lives alone and has a maid, but he goes out for walks a lot, and all the people around town are like he calls his friends. And I've had this discussion with Manuel, the one who recommended this to me, and like he thought that they were actually his friends at first, but I kind of imagined kind of like Robert in a way, saying like, "Oh yeah, I met this person at the bar. He's my friend." Like
Yeah,
I've known him
yeah.
for
You do not know this person.
2 hours and type. No offense, Robert. I'm sorry.
We love you.
Um, yeah, but that begins like one of my favorite quotes from the book. So he hadn't seen this person for a long time and thought like he had moved away and never talked to this guy before, but they just see each other. So the other day, when we had not seen each other for 2 whole days and met on the third day, we almost reached for our hats. But thank goodness we came to our senses in time, lowered our hands, and passed each other by in sympathy. And then says, like, I also have houses that are my acquaintances and stuff. I'm like, okay. It's a bit funny in that like kind of
Yeah,
dryish,
yeah.
like Russian way, which I thought this did really well because you have this kind of awkward type of person. He's never really known people, uh, especially like women. And he eventually sees this woman who's crying by the river. He almost says something again, but then walks by. And then she's eventually harassed by this guy on the streets, and he comes in, saves her, talks to her. And this was the most interaction he's ever had with a woman, basically. It's just
Wow.
like, oh yeah, thank you for like coming to my rescue type thing. But yeah, it was important for him. And basically, he walks her home and even says, like, this is like the happiest moment of his life almost, which is
Wow. A bit
bit,
much.
a bit much. Yeah. And asks if they can meet at the same spot tomorrow so he can relive this one happy moment. And she says yes, uh,
Okay.
but says, make sure you do not fall in love with me. All right.
Ah.
Don't do that.
I feel like
Because
he's gonna ignore that advice.
foreshadowing. Because like she can't fall in love with him is the other thing,
Right.
but she's also a bit lonely. So they come back and they talk about their lives. You hear first about the guy's life, and he sees himself as a dreamer, but it's all about him like wanting to be more in a way than what
Okay.
he is. He's always looking for like a companionship or even like he even calls himself the hero at some point. Um, so he sees like that he sees himself in a better light than he actually exists because he is really just alone for most of his life. Um, and he just is hopeful, but he doesn't do anything about it.
Sure.
Um, but he also says like uh, a lot of life is just so bland and boring that it's killing people, and people just keep moving away to the countryside. Um, but it's where the dreams are what really makes life worth living in a way,
Okay.
which I think
Yeah, I
is
mean that's
generally
true, right?
quite
That's
good.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of escapist type of psychology about it, right? Um,
Mm.
so then we hear a little bit about Nastenka here. She has a bit more of a concrete history. So she grew up with her grandmother, and her grandmother basically like keeps her at her side at all times. I think she even mentions like knit their skirts together so that she wouldn't leave during the day.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, grandmother's blind as well. At one point, Nasenka wanted to leave for something and switched her out with a maid. And the grandmother did eventually figure out that they switched, but it took quite a bit. I
That's
thought that was
actually
kind of
quite
fun.
funny.
Yeah. But the main thing about her story is that has she had a tenant there who passed away, and a new tenant came in who's a young man who she kind of falls for, but he doesn't really talk too much with her. He just recommends books for her to read. One is like a Sir Walter Scott, another one's a Pushkin. Even
Hmm.
has her go with her and a grandmother to see Barbara of Seville, which I'm like,
Okay,
okay,
nice.
this
Yeah, I
this guy
enjoyed
seems like
seeing
a
that.
great guy.
Hmm.
Um, but he's moving to Moscow for a year, and they're in St. Petersburg now. And so she basically confesses her love for him and asks him to marry her. He says yes, but not now. It'll have to wait until I come back. But he has come back, and
Hmm.
so that's why she's been crying. He
Ah.
didn't send a single letter, but she hasn't really seen him. She just knows that he has been back, like in the flat that
Sounds
they
massively
went.
familiar. I don't know if this has
Yeah,
been reused or if
I
this was
know there's
reused in
been
another Dostoevsky even. Yeah.
some movies as well, maybe,
Feels like I've
but
read something like this. Like the guy
yeah.
goes off. Okay, tell me, I remember reading one where the guy, it's a kind of a rich family, I think, but the guy goes off, doesn't write any letters, then he comes back and ditches her and gets with someone else, and she's very sad. But I think she comes out on top in the end. I thought it might have been a Dostoevsky though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's
This ending is not the same, I'll say.
okay, okay.
Um, so yeah, we get into like they've become really good friends at this point, and um, our main character says, "Yeah, I'll stay with you until this guy comes." She sends him a letter saying, like, "Meet me here, like at the bridge, and then we can finally get married." And he doesn't come for several nights, and she gets really depressed. But she then says that she has feelings for our main character
Okay.
because she says, like, "I think I starting to love you. This guy's not coming, and you haven't fallen in love with me." To which our main character says, "Oh no, no, I have fallen in love with you. Um, but maybe we can be together." And skip ahead about a minute, minute and a half if you don't want the ending spoiled. But so this ending was very interesting. So she says, like, all right, I'll be with you. Let's go. And then as they're about to leave, she sees the man as they're passing by,
Hmm.
and then immediately goes away from our main character, hugs, kisses the man that she loves,
No.
and then says, "Hold on, wait a minute." Goes back to our main character, kisses him, says, like, "Thank you for being my friend," and then leaves with the man.
Oh no, you picked
That
the wrong one every time. God damn it. Womp womp womp.
All right. So I'm not going to talk too much about that, but there is kind of an after bit, and yeah, sure, he's brokenhearted. It's terrible ending for our main character, but he doesn't feel too bad. There's a really great quote that I'll read. Um, but that I should feel any resentment against you, Nastenka, that I should cast a dark shadow over your bright, serene happiness, that I should crush a single one of those delicate blooms which you will wear in
Oh.
your dark hair when you walk up the aisle to the altar with him? Oh, no, no, never, never. May your sky be always clear. May your dear smile be always bright and happy, and may you be forever blessed for that moment of bliss and happiness which you gave to another lonely and grateful heart. Good Lord, only a moment of bliss? Isn't such a moment sufficient for the whole of a man's life? And you know what? I
That's
think
lovely.
that
That's true love
it
in a
is,
way.
yeah, he's just happy that he's had a few really great moments in his life now.
Hmm.
And for him, that's kind of enough. And he doesn't feel bad about it. And that is, a pretty good ending in an otherwise bleak
Yeah.
world.
I mean, I guess when things were pretty bad to begin with, he's just happy with what little he got in a way, but
Hmm.
still kind of sad. But are we going to go ahead and give it a yeah, yeah, yeah?
This one's a yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And then I also read Bobok, which is a very short story, like 15 pages, basically an author goes to a funeral and then kind of sits on the bench and imagines that there are people who are in the graves just talking, like their ghosts come back or something like that. And that's all that happens.
Okay.
This one can go down the gutter.
Okay,
Um,
good. I was not that's it, right? That's all we got?
that is all that happens in Bobo. It is not good.
Oh,
Or it's not worth reading.
sure.
Just absolutely give it a skip. It's not offensive because it's so short, like 15 pages, but
Hmm.
like these people are talking about nothing.
Okay, one of those.
So
Yeah. That does happen.
yeah,
I mean, you'd be lucky you didn't read like, some of Dostoevsky's longer treatments where people talk about nothing for hundreds of pages.
yeah, that really could have happened here. Um, I mean, it's a cool idea. I like it for that, but it's just I don't remember anything else that they talked about.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Nice to hear about our good friend Dostoevsky.